like to hear a story? Okay! It's about witches. Now, what is a witch? A witch is a person, usually a woman, who professes or is supposed to practice magic. Beliefs about witches vary, but most people believe they hold nocturnal meetings, kill babies and eat them,
Go.
and fly on brooms. They can even make people or livestock ill or cause them to die. This was a big deal because the people thought of them as a threat to their lives for two reasons. They could kill them, and if they killed their livestock, they would also die because that was their source of food and money. Witchcraft is a craft, not a religion, practiced by witches. It is the exercise of supernatural powers through magic and sorcery. It is believed to be used to influence the mind, body, or property of others against their will. The witches were believed to reject Jesus and the sacraments. Witchcraft was known as a craft of the wise because those who practiced it lived close to nature and cured diseases. Nobody else could do this. Because these witches stayed close to nature, over time they were able to figure out the healing properties of herbs and plants. Witchcraft is not a cult. They don't proclaim themselves to be speaking for the divine or try to get others to follow them as their leaders. Witches do not worship Satan or consort with demons. Satan is a Christian creation. Witches do not sacrifice animals or humans because that would violate their main belief of harming no one. Witches work either alone or in groups called covens. The main benefit of working alone is that you can initiate yourself into witchcraft on your own and start practicing immediately. The benefit of working in a coven is that you get to learn a lot from the experience of other members. Magic is the art of producing desired effects or results through the use of incantations, rituals, spells, and more. It was believed to be divided into two parts. White magic was the craft of healing and was practiced by cunning or wise folk.
I can walk.
Whereas black magic or witchcraft was the craft of harming and was practiced by witches.
Closet!
Magical spells traditionally were cast many different ways, such as voodoo,
A witch hunt is a search for witches or evidence of witchcraft, which often involves moral panic, mass hysteria, and lynching. The witch trials in the early modern period were a period of witch hunts between the 15th and 18th centuries. The witch trials in early modern Europe came in waves and then became less severe. There were trials in the 15th and early 16th centuries, but then went into decline before it became a major issue again and peaked in the 17th century. Some scholars argue that a fear of witchcraft started among intellectuals who believed in maleficium, which is a harm committed by magic. What had previously been a belief that some people possessed supernatural abilities, which were sometimes used to protect people, now became a sign between the people with supernatural abilities and the devil.
The power of Christ compels you!
To justify the killings, Christianity deemed witchcraft as being associated to wild satanic ritual parties in which there was much naked dancing,
I'm sexy and I know it,
and cannibalistic infanticide, murdering children to use their blood in certain aspects of their religious rituals and holidays. It was also seen as a choice of going against the first of the 10 Commandments, "You shall have no other gods than me." The most common tales of witches included those about old women, usually between the ages of 50 and 70, that were crippled and bent over. In England before 1500, witches were blamed for 3 deaths, a broken leg, and several severe storms. From 1559 to 1736, they were blamed for thousands of deaths, with thousands of people executed as witches.
Proof, interrogation, and trials were all major aspects that relate to the European witch hunt, which also could be known as the European witch trials. First of all, the witch hunt and trials were a very dark period of time, considering the large amount of people that lost their lives because they were accused of witchcraft. Although the majority of deaths were mostly women, the minority of men died as well. The witch trials were set up to be a lose-lose situation. You would either die of being innocent or die because you were thought to be guilty. Under the church's rules, proof that you were a witch consisted of if you had a mole or birthmark, if and when examined, you would be considered to be a witch, because it was believed that the devil put it there. If the examiner could not place any mark on the body, they would have claimed that there would be an invisible mark. If you had possession of elements that were necessary for the practice of black magic,
Earth! Water! Fire!
proof of being part of witchcraft is that you would be afraid during interrogation.
Are you scared? No! Are you? Yes! Witch! No!
Another way would be to drown the witch in a river, and if they survived, they were a witch, and then would be executed, but if they died, they were human.
20 minutes later.
She is dead! She's innocent!
1 hour later.
She's a witch! Kill her!
Interrogation was used if you were accused or speculated of being a witch. You would be taken away and tortured until you confessed. They called this method voluntarily confessing. Also, women were thought to be weaker, stupider, and more lustful. During interrogations, torture was present mainly to make the suspect give up other names of possible witches.
Who else is a witch? No one! Who else? Emma's a witch!
Is your sister a witch?
No!
Some torture strategies that were used during interrogations were the thumbscrew, leg vices, whipping stocks with iron spikes, scalding lime baths, prayer stools furnished with sharp pegs, racks, and the strappado. Even though there are many different varieties of tortures, these were the most common. Very few survived the torture without a confession. In conclusion, when the trials were over, if they were found guilty and proven to be a witch, they were then sent off for execution.